And so I'm going to take these one at a time. Mr. Goodman, you filed against a Sarah Shalhoub, who I see was served notice at today's hearing on October 26th. And did you want the court to issue an order in her absence?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And then jumping to case 23330 against Justin Devaney,
Yes,
and he was served notice the day before, October 25. Are you also asking for that order to issue? Okay. Well, what I'm going to do is, in their absence, find that they had notice of today's hearing and sufficient time to respond to the court or to be present in Zoom or in person, and they've chosen not to. So I can issue these orders in their absence for the next year, and they'll mirror or be the same as the temporary orders. And then, so just give me some time to write these out. But if within 90 days of their expiration, you feel that you want the court to consider extending it for a longer period, you can come within 90 days of their expiration, ask the court to do that. We'd have another set of hearings just like this, give notice to them and see. All right. So, Mr. Goodman, do you have any questions?
I do have one. Sarah Shalhoub is so far, as far as I'm concerned, she's broke her restraining order, this temporary restraining order about 3 or 4 times.
All right.
I called the sheriff and I talked to the sheriff, and he agreed that she also broke restraining because she's tried to contact me once.
All right.
She tried to contact me twice, saying that he was a lawyer on the phone, and then when I answered, when I said yes, and then she started talking, and my son has since passed away since then. She's been interfering with me, trying to take care of his last remains. She won't stop calling the funeral home. Her grandmother put the grandmother in the hospital because she won't leave her alone. She won't let us grieve. She keeps contacting us. She won't stop. Somebody needs to stop this person.
So is law enforcement able to find her?
He said he filled his phone up report, but I haven't got nothing back from him.
Yeah. Well, probably a good idea is to give this order to the funeral home, give this order to anybody who you know who needs to know. I told them
it doesn't stop her. It doesn't stop her from saying that she has something that different than what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you're doing the right thing by contacting law enforcement, and they're the ones who have to follow up for you on the enforcement of it. Okay. But I'm sorry you lost your son. It's a tough one. Just probably a good idea to get this copy of this order to as many people as you know, they know what's going on, so they can be aware. So we're going to give you 2 copies of the orders. One is to Mr. Devaney and one is to Mr. Shalhoub. And then if you ever think there's any kind of violation of any kind, you're doing the right thing by calling 911. So, ready? All right. Do you mind coming on up here and we'll hand you those copies? And then you can be on your way. Notice to him of today's hearing.
I dropped the papers off at the sheriff's office last week.
All right. Did you check back with the sheriff to ask if they served him notice?
They haven't yet.
Okay. So what we did receive was that an Angel Evans was unable to make personal service on Mr. Dominguez. And Angel Evans who is that person? It's an incomplete, hasn't signed off. I don't know who Angel Evans is and didn't sign off on the document, so I can't accept it as an affidavit, but they were unable to give personal service to Mr. Dominguez. Is that someone you know?
No, I dropped it off at the Mason County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. Let's see.
Unless that's one of the deputies, but it wouldn't really make sense if they didn't complete the paperwork. Huh.
I agree. So there's Corporal Rowe, though. All right. As to the Tolliver matter, Robert Tolliver is the person. Let's see. We've got something back from a Corporal Rowe from. And then I'll look into the other matter here since there's new information 23363 as to John Dominguez.
Was Anthony not served either? Or no?
Looking, who's Anthony?
Okay. Or Robert. He goes by Anthony. Robert Tolliver.
Looking at all the cases together and to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Angel. Okay, and so John Dominguez was not served. Angel Evans did finally complete and says with Mason County Sheriff's Office unable to do personal service, no service attempts, it says. So they
No
didn't do it.
service attempt.
That's what their affidavit says. I don't know what that means, but I take it as they didn't attempt. So, Mr. Tolliver, so on case number 23362, the Robert Tolliver matter, there was a return of service from, let me get back to that. Corporal Rowe, Anthony Robert Tolliver, I see why you're saying that. He was served on 11/16, 4 days ago. A petition and the denial order, and served by Corporal Rowe of Mason County Sheriff's Office. So we have not issued an order on this matter, but Mr. Tolliver was served. Mr. Tolliver is not present at 9:35. You had notice of today's hearing. Was there any other information that, it doesn't look like you filed any additional information after your petition, is that right?
Yeah, I forgot to add this statement with my packet. Yeah, I forgot to add a statement. Can I give one now?
Well, you sure can, and I've got a packet, all of this information.
Yeah.
So let me put you under oath, Ms. Gum. Raise your right
Yes.
hand.
Right.
Tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do. Well, I will.
Okay.
Yes.
What is it that I particularly about Robert Tolliver? No one else but Robert Tolliver.
So I dated Robert's brother, Steve, and so when we split up in 2017, Anthony came to town, and so I have a protection order in place in Mason County, a criminal one that's not being enforced. And so for Steve to be able to tell the sheriff's office that he's not doing it, he got his brother involved, Anthony or Robert. And so Robert has a group of friends that, well, Robert's, he's a heroin dealer, and he's
Can you tell what recently happened, and then we'll work backwards.
Yeah. So his friends, him and his friends, have been in the parking lot behind my apartment building, and they've been coming into my job. Last November, either Robert or one of his friends that he has doing things for him sodomized my dog in my car while I was inside working.
Slow down.
Yeah.
November of 2022 or November of this year?
This was of 22, and so
Okay.
and
why do you think that was Robert Tolliver?
Because that's what him and his brothers do. They're from a boys ranch down on the border of Mexico and Arizona, and
anything more recently than last November?
Yeah, they've been his friends have been coming into my job, my new job. His friends are coming into my job.
When did Mr. Robert Tolliver come to your job?
Robert's not going to come to my job. Robert's not going to have his face on camera. None of them are going to put their face on camera.
So why do you believe Mr. Tolliver is causing all this?
Because I can place his brother at the scene of a fire in Mason County. 3 fires, actually. There, I got a email from a deputy who's Edward Brock, who's finally going to look into it. I can place Steve Dominguez at 3 fires the day of the fire via his Google Maps location reporting. So his brother, because of that, and because I've been trying to get law enforcement to listen to me, and not that I'm not some nut job, his brothers are terrorizing me and my dogs to try to shut me down.
That was the March 2020 arson that you're talking about?
There was 3 fires in 2017, and then on March 19th of 2020, that was the first arson attempt, and then September 28th of this year was the last one. Somebody poured a gallon of cooking oil under the lid of my stove top, and so I turned the burner on. I could hear oil boiling, and lifted the lid up of the stove, and somebody had filled the cavities under the burners up with cooking oil. And so that was in September.
this is information that you did write down and provided in all of that information. And but unfortunately, this court, without more, and potentially law enforcement would provide it for you, but without more, can't find that Mr. Tolliver, sufficient evidence that he is causing unlawful harassment from what you've provided. So again, I'm denying the request for that order, but continue to work with law enforcement and see.
I have applied for 19 protection orders, 19 of them. How much longer should I work with them, Your Honor? My dog, if you see my dog, he was sodomized in my car.
I'm hearing you.
Sodomized.
I understand what you're
not
saying,
hearing
but
me.
the court has to work on evidence, and unfortunately, we don't have that.
The
I'm
law
not saying it
enforcement-
didn't happen. I'm just saying we don't have the evidence to a legal standard.
That's
that
the problem.
can
So
help you with.
the problem is law enforcement is unwilling to really listen or even get out of their cars. That's the problem. Is law enforcement is not willing to enforce the protection order to begin with. If they would have enforced it, then his brother wouldn't have even got involved.
So Ms. Gum, we've got two other matters. I'm denying the Tolliver matter. There just isn't evidence. We have denied the others, but and without further evidence presented, there's not really a basis to issue any orders.
Okay.
But
Right.
if you wanted some more time to serve notice on the Dominguez's, it looks like law enforcement did not make any attempts, at least on one of these, and the other is an insufficient document. Did you want to set those, the Dominguez matters, to another court date or not?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll give you more time to serve those. And so you're gonna have to follow up with, if you believe Mason County is the proper law enforcement agency, talk to them, follow up with them. We'll set a court date today.
I thought me speaking what is happening is evidence. Like what evidence? Like a videotape of, like, I'm not sure what you guys are requiring. You guys are making it impossible for a victim to, you can't get surveillance of being surveillanced by somebody you're terrified of.
So I'm gonna look at a court date here, Ms. Gum. Hang on, see what you can do about not loading up if you can.
We want surveillance of you being surveillanced by someone you're scared of.
You don't have a 2-week.
You're making it impossible. They modified the laws and they're just impossible still.
There's 4 on it.
Okay, and we're setting from this week to the 4th.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Why don't we set these to the 4th?
We do the 4th or the 11th.
So we're looking at December 4th or December 11th for another hearing where you'd have to talk to the Mason County and see if they could serve notice on the Dominguez's. Which would you like? The 11th, would you get you a little bit more time?
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, so we'll reset
This
those
is the
to
reason
December
why
11th.
Yeah.
We'll just
I've been like
reset the
flipping my
Dominguez
leg
matters.
because of this.
So
19 protection orders. 19!
23, 361, and 363 will be set to December
I'm
11th.
suffering a lot of consequences. My life is in ruins. And you guys sit there, you
Ms.
do
Gum,
nothing.
can you try and pull yourself together? I know this is difficult.
No, I'm gonna end up dead. And then you guys are say, well, we didn't realize it was actually happening to her.
We have an
It's
email
so
address.
profound. So
We're
profound.
going to email you the service packets, Ms. Gum, for December 11th, and then
And
you
you're gonna
take it
do
from there
nothing.
with the
Nothing's
Dominguez.
gonna be done. Nothing is. It's just a joke. Protection orders are jokes.
So if you choose to follow up, we'll be back December 11th and talk to Mason County.
Yeah, I
that's
don't
it
have
for
video.
today, Ms.
I don't
Gum.
have the evidence that you guys. It's a preponderant.
And that's it
Yeah,
for today, Ms. Gum.
Yeah,
So we'll
yeah.
see you on the 11th if you choose to follow up.
You guys need to. Oh,
So long, Ms. Gum. You might want to mute her. Somebody else is joining. Let's see, Ms. Gum. See, you're there.
yes, I'm here.
Okay, so we've got 2 actions. We'll take them one at a time. One against a John Dominguez, and one against a Michael Dominguez. And I see that there's been information from Mason County Sheriff, attempts to serve and not being able to serve November 30th, December 1st, and December 4th. That was filed with the court. Anything else to know about service on either one of these folks?
Because it's Mason, 2 different counties, it's things are a little more difficult. And since he's also staying in my apartment complex in apartment 57, him and his brother.
So who's he? Which
My
one?
ex, Michael Dominguez, and I'm assuming his brother also, since
Okay.
he usually stays at the address I put on there. So if they're not able to serve him there, that seems unusual and he must not be living there anymore.
Well, this is Mason County and where are
Yeah.
you living?
I mean,
What county are you in?
Thurston County and Olympia.
Well, then
So-
you may want to talk to Thurston County if you think you know that they're residing in Thurston County. Because I would
I
think
have.
Mason County would not leave their jurisdiction to serve notice.
No, they won't. And
No.
Thurston County's not taking it seriously about
Well-
the information I'm giving them. So,
So, Ms. Gum, this is the deal.
Yeah.
If you think you have a new address and a new place to serve notice, then I'll give you a continuance to come back on these two matters, but you're gonna have to talk to the appropriate law enforcement agency to do that service, or you
Yeah,
don't
I've
have to
done
deal
that.
with law enforcement. You don't have to deal with law enforcement. You can hire a company that does legal service, and they
so he's not
would do
really
the
living
same
there.
thing.
He's just hiding there. He's hiding there so they can't serve him. And so that he
Okay.
can harass me in my apartment complex.
So, Ms. Gum,
Yeah.
what do you want to do here?
If
If
they're
you
not
have a
able
new
to serve,
address for them, then you could use that new address with either law enforcement or a legal messengering service that you hire to do this, or a family or friend who will have to file a legal document with the court as to when they served them and how they served them and with what. So what would you like to do? Or things end today?
so if they're not able to serve him at the next hearing, then what happens?
Well, the judge at that point will make a decision whether the case continues or not.
Because I have a
But I-
5-year protection order in place and it's not being enforced. This is just a civil one. I'm confused here.
Right.
I'm
Well,
really
do you have another
confused.
protection? Well, let's
have a
talk. Do you have
5-year
another
one.
protection order against
criminal-
Michael and or John?
I do against Michael, a criminal one in Mason County, 5-year
Okay,
one.
then sounds like you're covered by
And they're
that. I
not
mean, this would just be
enforcing
yet another order.
But they're not enforcing it. I'm sorry. That's why I'm trying to get a civil. I'm trying to figure out what will they enforce? Like
I can't speak for the sheriffs. I don't know what they need to follow court orders, but I don't know what's going on there. I can't speak for what they're experiencing.
yeah,
So if
this
you
is like
have an order
protection
against
order
Mr.
number 19.
Dominguez. So you have an order against Mr. Dominguez, that Michael Dominguez. That's
Yes.
good. So this would just be yet another order on top of an order. So what do you want to do with that matter?
Continue it.
Okay, and then John Dominguez.
Same thing also.
All right, so we will reset, give you another opportunity. We'll send you a notice. Do we have email? Okay, we'll send you notice by email of that next court date. We're looking at as soon as December 26th, which is a Tuesday, or January
Which is fine.
2nd, which is a Tuesday, or any Monday thereafter.
The 26th is fine. And who do I give the information to? The sheriff's office? Just go down there and give them the address.
Right, you're in touch
Okay.
with whatever law enforcement agency you think's appropriate and give them that contact information. Again, you can also, you don't think the sheriff is doing what you need done, you can always hire a company that does this as a business too. Or
How much
have,
does that cost? Do you know?
I don't know, you'd have to talk. to them. Or
Oh,
you could
okay.
have family, but they gotta make
Yeah.
sure that they legal document with us that tells us what they did.
Yeah, I don't have
All
any
right.
family and friends anymore because of this.
To December 26th, 9 o'clock. You can appear by Zoom and just be prepared to kind of let the court know at that point what efforts you've been able to make with service.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So long. Mr. Begin is not present, Galen Begin. Looks like you served him. We allowed email, but also you perfected personal service on November 28th. So you're able to finally get that done. So at this stage, I can issue this order protecting you that would mirror the temporary order in what we call default, or in his absence, because now I can make a finding that he knew of this hearing and made his decision that he just didn't want to be present. So is that what you're asking?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so give me a moment to put that to writing. All right, so what we did receive is that Thurston County Sheriff was unable to serve notice. I don't know if you've looked at this. Yeah, her resident does not live here, and that was where they did the Plummer Street. And there've been a couple of reissuances trying to serve him notice. So I can't find that he has notice, so I can't issue an order in his absence. What do you think you want to do? Who's going to lead the charge here?
Well, I mean,
We don't know where he is. He lives in different places.
he's bouncing around.
Yeah.
He's a young kid. He's kind of couch surfing. You know, at one point, with our second one, he had left the state, was in Vegas for a little bit, and he's come back and he's on different couches. And you know, we're not gonna be able to catch him. You know, perfect world, I'd like to just see it permanent so that we don't have to worry about him coming over, because it relates to my daughter's relationship with him.
Well, I mean, we could do one more reissuance, maybe go beyond the sheriff, maybe hire a legal messengering company that does skip chases.
We did that.
We did that.
Oh, you already
We
did
had
that?
Addison
Okay.
Legal Services for our second one.
Okay.
And then the third one, was when he had come back from Vegas, and we thought he was going to return to that plumber address because that was the only place he could hang. But he,
Okay.
you know,
Well, I guess it's really up to you. I mean, at some point, we're gonna kind of be done with this, but it looks like you've been trying to work the problem. We have 2 returns of non-service from the sheriff.
Yeah.
And so what would you like to do today?
I think we just drop out now and not continue. And if he does come back, we'll contact the police at that point.
All right, and then reference this order if you
Yes.
decide to ask the court for another order. You know,
Okay.
say,
Oh,
you know,
okay,
and
so
then the court can-
this will sit in the computer?
Well, we have, I guess that's a way to put it. We've got records that we have to keep for a long, long, long time.
Okay.
And so, if you reapply, say, well, look at 23316 for more information,
Okay.
Okay,
and that would help the court to know that there's a more history to know.
okay,
But yeah, so all right. So right now, then we'll just dismiss the matter for now and hope that maybe things are resolved.
yeah.
Because it's
I
been a
like to
couple of
hope
months.
that when the police made their attempted delivery,
Yeah.
they don't say what they're going for. I don't know how that
Mhm.
works. You know, when they come to the door and they say, we're trying to get a hold of this individual, they just leave it at that, so that in his mind, he's not sure what he's gotten himself into
Yeah.
beyond what he already knows from our daughter, that we've been attempting,
Yeah.
this,
Sort of, maybe.
so that it kind of keeps him on high alert to, but domestic thing, how those things. So,
Yeah. Okay. Now,
Okay.
all right. So we'll just dismiss the action for now, and you can come back and see us if you need to. I
If
would
we need
hope
to.
you don't need to.
okay, yes, thank you very much.
All
Thank
right,
you.
and
Good
Julie
day.
Thomas
All right,
is
bye.
not with us. She as well as see that she wasn't served notice of today's date unless you have any updated information.
She was served on November 9th of the original court date. And when she was served, she was arrested on an unrelated warrant. So she was in custody. I'm not sure what the status is right now. I've been working with Deputy Mancius and Kylie Gray from the Civil Division. And
Right.
I guess Deputy Mancius is fairly new, so he wasn't aware that he needed to file the return of service form. But Kylie Gray said that you can see in the system that he did serve her on November 9th.
I
And
can't access the sheriff's system. That's the executive branch of government. I'm not allowed in there. I'm the judiciary. So let's see what we've got here. Yeah, we haven't received nothing. We've received nothing from the sheriff. So why don't you, if you'd like, I've got other things to do this morning. You can come back this morning and we can recheck. But why don't you see if there's an affidavit of something that they did.
we did talk to them this morning. Deputy Mancius, the one we've been working with, is out. He was out half of last week and then all of this week. So we have to follow up with him next week.
Well, today's the day. So it sounds like maybe what we need to do is just reissue this order at a new court date. You work with the sheriff or legal messaging or wherever, however you want to do this, and then get that proof into the court that she was served notice for that next court date.
Right.
Okay. All right. So that's what we'll do. We'll reissue. Let me give you enough time. So we're looking at Mondays going forward.
December 4th would be good for me.
Okay, December 4, we'll reissue that for December 4th. And that information will be available. I think we'll probably send you a service packet at some point today, but my clerk's of course in court with me now, so she can't do all that. But certainly by tomorrow, I think you'd have all that to get ready to serve that notice. All right. So the order stays in effect until the end of the hearing on December 4th.
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right, so, all right, we've got a couple of cross petitions here. Ms. Wilson, you asked for a temporary restraining order against Ms. Watkins. And we didn't issue an order, but we set this hearing, and I see that Ms. Watkins was made aware of today's hearing and served. And then Ms. Watkins and Mr. Rivera Rodriguez came to the court maybe Friday or Thursday, I can't quite remember, but you can look in our, let's see, that was on the 17th. And asked this court to issue an order, and the court declined to issue an order against you, but set this hearing with this all together. And so you probably, I don't know, probably don't have notice of what they put in their petition today.
I do.
No, I mean, I bet you can all kind of figure out what the other might be saying about the other, but so that's fine. But I think what we got to do is reset all of this to another day so that Ms. Wilson can look at what was filed by the Rivera Rodriguez Watkins side and then be prepared to respond. And nobody has to serve anybody notice anymore because you're all here. We're going to set the court date together. And then I would suggest in the meantime that obviously you're asking the court to issue orders, just don't contact each other in the meantime, but we can set that hearing date today. We could set it as soon as the 4th of December. Ms. Watkins, the 4th it'll be a Monday morning. Ms. Wilson, if you need to look at your calendar, Mr. Rivera Rodriguez, December 4th. Sound good?
That's
Karen McCombs. Okay, so we'll reset. Karen McCombs has filed and gotten a temporary restraining order against Colleen McCombs. And we're here for this hearing now. And I see that you were served notice, Colleen McCombs, at our hearing, obviously October 30th. And so here we are now to have the hearing. Okay. All right. So going back to Karen McCombs, then I've read your petition and I'm just gonna, and you'll notice both of you that I'm looking down here because I have a screen that has our court file. And as I'm listening to you, I'm also referring to the petition and documents in the court file to see if I have any questions. But I am listening, just so you know, that's what I'm doing. So Karen McCombs, then anything else you would like to say to support? I mean, are you still asking for this order against Colleen McCombs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And let me then ask Colleen McCombs, do you object to having this order issued?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Back to Karen McCombs. Then Karen McCombs, anything else you'd like to say?
There's not a whole lot of evidence for to back my case, but no, I guess, Your Honor, there really isn't. You're going to rule however you need to rule, and I will just keep going on.
All right. So the most recent event, October 14th, you said your daughter spent the night and there was something about a toolbox. And so your daughter occasionally spends the night. Is this your house or rental or what?
My home. This is my house. Yes.
All right. And so, so you allow her as a guest in your home?
Being as she's my daughter, yes, occasionally. And she does help me every great once in a while. But on this occasion, she asked me about the toolbox. It was a large truck toolbox and it belonged to my work. She says, well, I just sold it and they're coming to pick it up. And how do you sell something that's not even yours? Why would you even think about that? That's where I pretty much lost it because, well, she's been taking things and selling them and doing just whatever she wants and running me over, bullying me to the point of where I just give up. And I needed to turn somewhere for some help because she's bigger than me. She's louder than me. And I just can't go on with her doing what she's doing. So she's not going to be allowed here anymore.
So this year then, does she come to your home uninvited then?
Yes.
This year?
Feels like it, yeah.
And do you have property around that has your belongings that you're alleging she's taking?
Yes.
And all right. And so this kind of came to a head the middle of October when you came to the court for this order about this toolbox. And then you talk about the past several years about the same sort of activity, a hot tub being taken, came to your work about 7 years ago. Are you still working?
Yes.
Or you came home from work?
Yes.
Okay. So we got kind of a big gap there, 7 years ago in October. So is it just because it's a constant thing?
It's pretty much been constant. I pretty much tried to not look at it, but it has gotten to the point. There was one instance where she borrowed my car. She was going to be gone to Goodwill for an hour. Sunday night, midnight that night, that was before I had my hips surgically replaced. Sunday night at midnight, she comes into my car, backs it into its spot, and her friend is with her, and they're going to barbecue. And I was livid because I had to go to work the next morning and I didn't know where my car was, and she wouldn't answer her phone.
What was that about?
The next day I went to put my seatbelt on. It didn't work. I got to work. I asked Carl if he can fix it. He goes, why isn't it working? I said, I don't know. And he goes, well, maybe this is why. And I turned around and looked. The whole side of my car was torn up. Just completely.
So when did this happen, do you think?
6 years ago.
6 years ago?
Yes, on a Sunday night.
And then
that time I let her borrow my car.
You say that she bullies you. What does that mean?
When she said that about the toolbox, I said, just go. Just leave, just go. Get out of my house. And she said no. A lot of times she'll say no and just stay. I'm powerless to do anything about it except call the police. And it takes a while for the sheriff to get out here. So,
okay. So that happened in October when you came to the court that she would not leave your home when you told her to leave. You said you were screaming, get out now. And she did not leave when you did that. Is that right?
She did leave finally after
How long did it take?
At least an hour.
Okay. All right. So you say also in your petition, and I'm not sure when all this, but you say that you're, let's see, you're scared when she drinks. Then you talked about some damage. So when did that most recently happen that she damaged your property when under the influence?
I don't exactly remember the date on that, or it was, I know the sheriff was here and they've been trying to figure out where she was, and she'd been hiding in a culvert, and she was cold and wet, and she just wanted to get some change of clothes. So she picked up a garden fork and started banging on my back door, which is glass, to the point of leaving marks on it. And the sheriff said, do you want us to take her to jail? This is the hard part. I wanted her to go away, but I didn't want to go to jail. I don't know.
Is that why you're asking for an order? Because you're feeling powerless?
Yes. It's futile.
If you were to be granted an order, if the court finds a legal basis to this, you know that you would have to enforce it by calling law enforcement.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't change things on its own. You have to do something.
Yes.
And
I understand.
If you were to invite, you ask for this order, you go through all this, we have a hearing, the court does, if I find that there's a legal basis to do this, then if you invite your daughter over, you're defeating all the work you've done. If you don't enforce the order, you're defeating all the work you've done. You understand that?
Yes, there will be no inviting her over.
I mean, that's up to you. You wouldn't be in any legal jeopardy if you decided to violate the own order that you've asked for, but you just have to understand that that's what you're asking for. You're saying, I don't want anything to do with her going forward, done. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So let me ask a couple more questions here about your petition, and then we're going to turn to your daughter, but I need to understand better. Yeah. When you say that, so we talked about her taking the pitchfork and going at your back door. Do you have any concept of when that happened? Was it this year or several years ago, months ago?
It was a couple years ago, I think.
Okay, a couple of years ago. All right. And this year, you think, have you had an occasion where you were frightened by her when she was under the influence?
Not this year.
Okay. And so this year, okay, go ahead. So this year then, the October event brought you into court, taking your belongings, bullying you, not leaving your home when you tell her to go. This year, what else can you kind of tie into this year?
Yeah, just little things, basically, of getting rid of my possessions for me.
So that means getting rid of your possessions for you. That, are you telling me that you told her to do that or didn't?
No, there's
Do you remember what items?
We were picking up garbage up and down the road, and the people that were helping me said, "Hey, we found one of your kitchen stools. It's in the ditch here." I said, "Well, please bring it back up." I've driven home from work and seen my possessions at the end of the road, put out there for free. It's like, wait a minute. This isn't yours to decide for. This is mine. I just don't consider that helping. I don't understand her idea of helping if that's what it is. The people that she's been with, she used to live in the world of live and let live, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now it's get them before they get you. If you don't have it and you want it, take it. I don't live that way, and I don't want to.
All right. And so there isn't any court action or anything that your daughter is involved with that would allow her a guardianship or say in your affairs, right? Or is there?
I don't understand what you just asked me.
Is there a superior court involved that's saying Ms. Colleen McCombs can have some authority over your decision making?
Absolutely not.
Okay. All right. So anything else you want to say before I turn to Colleen McCombs?
I understand I'm not considered by the criteria of the law a vulnerable adult, and yet I consider myself vulnerable because I work in Tacoma. I'm an hour away from my house. When somebody calls me at work and says this is going on, I can try to call her. She won't answer her phone. Even when she took the hot tub, I called her and said, "Do not take anything from my house." She said, "Okay," and then took off with it. How can I trust anything she says?
Go ahead.
That's about it, Judge. Really, that sums it up, basically.
Question for you is you said in your petition that you didn't know what's going to happen when she finds out that you applied for this order. What does that mean? Tell me what you were worried about there.
He was going to react in a bad way. He's been cognizant of it and not come around. So I'm very glad for that. It makes my life a little more settled, where I can take care of my own things and do what I need to do.
What does react in a bad way mean? What were you afraid she was going to do?
I had no idea, really. I mean, no. If she's drinking, she does one thing. but then she'll say one thing and do something else. I had no idea really. I just was leery about what might happen.
Do you think she would harm you or your property? Was that what you were thinking?
Yes, property. She doesn't make good decisions a lot of times.
Okay. All right. Well, let me turn to Colleen McCombs and hear her response to your request for this order. So Colleen McCombs, that's just it. What would you like to say in your response to this request for this order?
I object against the order, and also all in all, she's my mother, and I will leave her alone. I don't want her to be stressed out. I don't want her to feel that way, period. But you know, if God heaven forbid anything happened to her, I don't even
Did you want to say anything about the allegation from October in the toolbox?
no, I really don't, just because that's basically the only that's there's no proof of anything. However, I just don't want my mom to be not stressed out and where she can live her life and do whatever. I'll leave her alone. I have no issue with that.
Can you comment on her statement that she was in the petition screaming at you to get out and it took about an hour for you to leave? Can you talk about that from your point of view?
Yeah, she did lose it, so to speak. She was yelling at me or whatever. That's no big deal. However, no big deal for me, except for the fact that I did leave about half hour, 45 minutes after she was drilling me out the house. And that's fine. I don't need to be living at my mother's house or staying with my mother or whatever, but I'm surprised she given me credit for more of the things that I have done for her more than what I haven't done for her. And that's just,
yeah. So, what did you do in that half hour, 45 minutes before you left?
Just trying to find a ride.
Okay. Calling around and trying to find a ride.
Yes, correct. That time I did not tell her no. I just listened. I just did I just found a ride to get out of there.
Okay. Anything you want to say about a hot tub incident?
No comment.
All right. Anything you want to say about, go ahead.
I love my mother, and I know she loves me, and she wants me to have the best or do the best or whatever. But I object against this protection order.
So, all right.
Because out of everybody in this world, there's only gonna be two people that love her the most. That's me and my brother.
Well, you have, and you agree, there isn't any Superior Court that's given you guardianship rights.
No.
And you don't have, this isn't where you live. You're just invited to come visit when your mom invites you.
When she needs my help, yeah.
Okay. And then,
it's been my mailing address. It's been my mailing address for the past, since we moved into Yelm, like 22 years ago.
Oh my. Well, and so how does that work?
I'm not
sure.
Mailing address. I still don't have another mailing address. But
how in the past for the last 20 years would you get your mail if it was going to your mom's house?
To my mom, that's how I would get my mail is
you would stop by, or she would tell you there was mail and you'd come pick it up. Okay.
Yeah, I would get an email in my email saying what emails or what is coming in the mail that day. I don't anymore, but yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I would know.
Okay. Anything else I should consider about what she's written her petition or what we heard from her today, or anything else you want to say about it all?
No. That's, if about anything that's criminal is really irrelevant to this case. If it were to be that way, but it's not.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not making any findings there that anyone's done any criminal act here. Is there evidence of unlawful harassment under the civil law here that I'm looking to? To see if I have any other questions. I'm just going to peruse the information before the court before I leave you both. All right. So both Karen and Colleen McCombs, what I'm doing is applying the law under 7 105. And from the petition and from what I've heard today, I do find that there was unlawful harassment as defined under the civil law to allow this court to issue an order against him as Colleen McCombs to stay away from your mom. And I'm going to issue that for a year. And Karen McCombs, you have, if within 3 months of this expiration of this in 2024, you think the court should extend this order longer, then we would have another set of hearings and give Colleen McCombs the opportunity to be heard again about whether that should or shouldn't happen. But I do find that given the history, given the recent events, that there has been unlawful harassment committed against you, Karen McCombs, by Colleen McCombs, and that gives the court the authority under the law to issue this order. So Colleen McCombs, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Or I have a comment, actually. I wasn't sure. My friends do go over to her house and help her out and everything. And I haven't told anybody yet, but except for one friend that does still go over there, that I just recently found out I was pregnant, and I thought that she might want to know that.
All right. And so you can't, with this order, Colleen McCombs, you can't direct someone to go to your mom's either. You can't indirectly through others contact your mom, or
that's why this order should not be in effect, really. Because it's completely unfair.
Well, it's going to hear what I issued before, and we'll talk about the provisions so it's not confusing. And you'll have a copy of this available to you in the court file. Your Zoom instructions give you that information. And I think we lost Colleen McCombs. She left of her own accord. So Karen McCombs, I'm signing off on this order that Colleen not contact you in any way, shape, or form, not through friends, not through family, not through social media, not in person, that she not come to your, let me get to this, not come to your home, that she stay away from, stay away from you, from your residence. And I'm just looking at and your vehicle, as you've asked. She not engage in any stalking behavior of you. Since she was here and knows of this order, there isn't any reason why you have to re-serve notice. She chose to leave the meeting of her own accord here after apparently getting frustrated, which I understand that, but you don't have to serve further notice of this as she was here. This will, as I say, this will be in effect for a year until November 20th of 2024. So in August, if you think you want this order to go longer, then August 20th is the first day you can ask the court to do that. You'd apply to the court with a petition and say, I want the order to go longer. And then we would see that you would see that your daughter has notice, and we would have further hearings for her to be heard on that issue as well before that discussion. So you don't want to wait until November 20th, because then the order would expire and you would have no order and would have to start all over again. But within 90 days of its expiration, you can ask the court to consider that. All right.
I'm hoping I don't have to do this again.
I agree. I hope not too. The reality is, though, as I talked to you before, you're the one who has to enforce this order. You're the one who has to decide your contact with your daughter. And you aren't in any legal jeopardy if you invite her over, but then you're undermining yourself and this order. Yeah. And it makes it very difficult. So you decide. Are we sending her a copy by email? We will send you a copy of this order by email. And then that's it for today. Do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Well, good luck to you. And
Thank
look
you
in your
very
email for a copy. You're welcome.
Thank you.